Hey everyone, welcome back to Firsthand Globetrotting. Today's all about sunshine and sand. I'm going to tell you all about Marco Island, Florida. But this isn't one of the big Atlantic coast spots like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, or Palm Beach, so you may not have heard of it before. Nope, Marco Island is a lot smaller, a lot more laid back, but it still has all the sun and sand and water that you could want. For me, the easiest option to get there was flying into Southwest Florida International Airport in Fort Myers. It's about 50 miles from Marco Island. But my shuttle driver said that a lot of people actually fly into Miami. Miami's 100 miles away, so it's pretty far, but it has way more international flight options. Both airports have private car services that'll take you to Marco Island, and that's what I did, but honestly, I think a rental car would have actually been a better idea. Marco Island isn't very walkable, especially in the Florida heat, so having a car to get around to the stores and restaurants is a huge help. I actually ended up renting one when I realized how spread out everything was. My biggest piece of advice is that if you want to spend time at the beach, stay somewhere on South Collier Boulevard. On one side of the road you have the big resorts and beachfront condos, some really fancy places. On the other side are some other condo buildings. Most of them are pretty nice with a limited beach view, but they aren't right on the beach. For half my trip I was in a beachfront resort, the other half I was across the road at a condo. Obviously beachfront is usually better and more convenient, but it's also way pricier. But if you're staying across the road from the beach, make sure you have a beach access path that you can use. My condo had a private one we could unlock with our key, and there were only 2 public ones on Marco Island, and they were way further away, so make sure there's one that's close by to you. It gets super hot, so you don't want to be carrying all your stuff too far. That's not fun at all. The beaches are definitely the major draw on Marco Island. Way down at the southern end, you have South Marco Beach. It's got one of the only public beach access paths, so if you aren't staying beachfront, this is an option for you. One thing that sets it apart from the rest of the beaches is the rocky outcropping right at the tip. It's a great spot to snap a pic of Marco Island or to do some shelling. The great thing about Marco is that it's got miles of beautiful, uninterrupted beach. Great if you want to take some nice, long walks along the Gulf Coast. I started at South Beach and walked north. You've got the water on your left, beachfront hotels and condos on your right, and the sand under your feet. As I said, the beachfront places take up almost every square foot of real estate. But don't worry, the beaches themselves are all public, so you can walk along them, relax there, or take a swim. The only thing you can't do is use their umbrellas and chairs. As you'd expect, they're pretty protective of those. One thing to keep your eyes open for as you walk are sections of the beach that are blocked off with tape. Those are where the sea turtles have come up on the beach to lay their eggs. It's really cool to see nature hard at work. So obviously, make sure not to go in those areas since we don't want to disturb the little turtles. Another thing to do while you're walking down the beach is some shelling. Marco Island is famous for its shells, and you're going to see ones of all different shapes, sizes, and colors. Keep your eyes open for them as you walk down the beach, and bring a bag or a bucket to hold them, because you never know what kind of cool shells the tide's going to bring in. Okay, so if you've made the walk all the way down the beach, you've seen some turtle spots, picked up some shells, seen plenty of sand and water, and now you're at Tiger Tail Beach. Tiger Tail has the other public beach access, so you probably get why I said to make sure you're staying close to a beach access. It's about 3.5 miles between Tiger Tail and South Marco, so not a lot of public options. Tiger Tail Beach isn't actually on the Gulf, it borders a small lagoon. Not ideal if you'd rather be on the main beach, but if there aren't too many people there, it's nice and peaceful with plenty of birds and other animals hanging out. Okay, so I had plenty of time to walk the beach, do some swimming and relax, but I wanted to hop on a boat and get out on the water. Marco has plenty of options for fishing charters, shelling cruises, or sightseeing trips, and a lot of them leave from Rose Marina. It's on Marco Island, but not very close to the beach, so you'll want to drive there. The tour I went with was Dolphin Explorer. I put a link to it down below in the description. I highly recommend it. The name was pretty accurate because we saw a ton of dolphins on our trip. Some even came right up to our boat to play and swim along with us. Really cool to watch. The crew is incredible, really nice, really informative, definitely a naturalist style tour with some people that really knew their stuff. We learned about what the dolphins do, where they hang out, and the names of the local dolphins in Marco Island. Another highlight of the tour was driving through the mangrove islands along the coast. They're one of the things I really like about Florida and not really something you see in the rest of the US. And if that wasn't enough, we even had some time to stop at a small island to do some exploring, search for some more shells, and take a swim. Overall, an amazing tour and worth every penny. I love eco tours like this, and this one went over and above my expectations. It was a great afternoon on the water. So we've talked about the beach and the water, but what about if you want to stick to dry land? Well, there isn't a whole lot to do. Collier's the main road and is mostly filled with condos and resorts. You've got a few stores and restaurants there, but they're pretty spread out. The city center's the same. Unless you're getting groceries or dinner, there's not a whole lot else to do there. Mostly, you'll just be driving through it on your way to get to some of the more interesting spots. Because it's right on the coast, you know that my food recommendation is going to be some seafood. One of my favorite things to get whenever I'm down in Florida is grouper. It's fish, so you can get it prepared a lot of ways, but I love to get a breaded or blackened grouper sandwich. So that was my first-hand experience in Marco Island, Florida, and I really enjoyed my trip. The sun was shining, the beach was beautiful, and it was very relaxing. It's a slower and more laid-back place. You aren't going to find many well-known tourist sites or lots of nightlife. If you prefer a faster pace, it may not be for you. But if you just want to have a nice, relaxing vacation by the water, then you're probably going to like Marco Island. Personally, I loved spending so much time walking up and down the beach, searching for shells, hanging out with friends and family, and of course, swimming in the water. That's it for this city guide. Hopefully it's useful if you're planning a trip to Marco Island. If you have any questions, ask me in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to this channel. It's free and easy, just click the button down below. On Instagram, I'm Firsthand Globetrotting. On Twitter, I'm Firsthand Globe, so make sure to follow me there. And remember, it's an unforgettable world out there, so pick up your passport and do some firsthand globetrotting of your own.